What's up, everybody? Baby Huey here, and joining me once again is my tag team partner, Tim from Pro Wrestling Unlimited. How's it going, man?
Pretty good. Just another week here talking pro wrestling. We got a lot of stuff going on, and we're on the road to WrestleMania.
Absolutely. But, Tim, first things first. I was going to surprise you with something, but technically you already know what it is because I talked to you about it yesterday. But for the Kliqsters out there, I got something special I had made for you guys. And for this podcast, specifically, it's a brand new intro. So I guess let me play it right now for you guys, and go ahead, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. So let me debut the brand new In The Kliq intro here.
Ladies and gentlemen, the following episode is scheduled for one fall. Coming down the aisle, this is In The Kliq.
Yes, and then I would jump on right after that and do my thing. And so let the music fade out there. So been a minute since I've updated that thing. We've had if you've been a long time listener of In The Kliq, first off, thank you for listening all these years. I was gonna say SummerSlam is usually the anniversary weekend for In The Kliq. That's when we first started this podcast, was SummerSlam. So I think we're coming up on, was it 2018? I want to say. So I think, yeah, coming up on 7 years of having this podcast. So, but with that being said, we've had different variations of the intro over the years, change, and different people who've come on the show and whatnot. So, but I've been meaning to get a new, fresh one. The other one we had, it's been a couple years old, so it's always good to kind of freshen it up. So, I now need to. I want to like animate that. I want to take that intro and like do an animation graphic, and then lead into us jumping on right after and talking. So that's the next thing to work on. Just getting the audio piece first. That was the first big project to get done. But now it's like, okay, moving on. Let's get some graphic animation. So all that stuff. So, but yes, thank you guys for tuning in for another episode of In The Kliq. As Tim said, we're on the road to WrestleMania. Like we said last week's episode, Elimination Chamber has come and gone. It's in the past now. And for the next, well, here we are coming up on 5 weeks now till WrestleMania officially happens in mid-April. So yeah, they're starting to build stuff. They're starting to get some matches going, or at least some programs set up, and we can kind of foreshadow where are going to be some of the matches for WrestleMania. And it's actually funny, Tim, because you and I was at last week's episode In The Kliq. We kind of did like a little bit of predictions of what we think could be potential matches for WrestleMania. I think you and I combined came up with like 18 matches.
Close to it.
Yeah, we don't think all of them are going to make it there. If we go by last year's numbers, it was 7 each night, so 14 total. So unfortunately, some stuff has to get scratched. And I was asking my coworker the other day, so I kind of ran down my list for him, and so we were trying to figure out which ones could get scratched. So that's yet to be seen. But let's go ahead and jump right into it. Let's talk about first Monday Night Raw, some of the highlights from there. Then we'll talk from what happened on last week's episode of Friday Night SmackDown, and then this week at NXT, it was a big episode. NXT Roadblock. It was very much felt like a pay-per-view, or excuse me, PLE type show on a Tuesday night, though, over in New York at the theater next to Madison Square Garden. And some big stuff did happen on that episode, so I feel like it's appropriate for us to talk about it. But first things first, let's talk about Monday Night Raw this week. And let's talk about the main event for WrestleMania Night 2, Cody Rhodes versus John Cena. Cody Rhodes this week, he's trying to start the build for this match with John Cena. John Cena is not there. As was announced on Raw this week, he will be showing up next week's episode of Raw. They're going to be in Europe, right? In what country was that?
I can tell you right now.
Was it Brussels? I've tried to think.
I believe so. I'm 99% sure. It is Brussels, Belgium.
Yeah, so that'll be the first time. So about 2 weeks since John Cena officially turned heel at Elimination Chamber. So a little over 2 weeks later, we'll get to hear from him. And I'm really excited. Are we going to see the whole new look, presentation? What is he going to say in that promo? Is he going to get new music, a new theme song, entrance music, all that stuff? But let's talk about Cody Rhodes, because the fallout episodes of Raw and SmackDown following Elimination Chamber, it's him by himself doing the heavy lifting right now, trying to set up this match. With John Cena not there, he's kind of doing all the work. So let's talk about, he did 2 promos. So on SmackDown last week, he cut a promo. First time we've seen him since Elimination Chamber. He came out, He had the busted eye. I'm guessing
my God.
that was some good makeup work, right? Like
No.
real talk.
No.
You think that was real from the Travis Scott?
Travis Scott slapped the crud out of him.
Oh, okay. And then he came out again on Monday Night Raw this past Monday, which was live from Madison Square Garden in New York City. So, Tim, I want to, turn it to you as far as your thoughts on the promos so far. It's what he said on SmackDown and then the following week on Raw. It was kind of more or less the same stuff. It was more or less calling out John Cena. Just how on SmackDown, he more or less said how he, when he got started in this company, paying his dues and coming up in the company, he saw John Cena as like a mentor. He would ride with him. He learned from him. He thought it was like a role model of who he wants to be one day for the company. And also he was explaining to his daughter, why he has a busted eye. And he had to lie to her a little bit. He didn't want to reveal to her that like John Cena caused it or John Cena turned on him. And then he more or less said at the end, John Cena, come and get some. And then on Raw this week, it was kind of more or less the same, just talking about the upcoming match with John Cena. And he called him out once again. And he said, while you're trying to go for number 17, my big thing for this WrestleMania, I'm going to take pleasure is preventing you from getting number 17. And he called him a moron and told him to sit down. So I just want to get your thoughts so far on Cody Rhodes doing this solo build for this main event match.
So a couple of things here. Like Cody killed it in both promos. Both promos were awesome, amazing. And I have seen some people online. They were like, oh, why didn't they have John Cena film some stuff backstage at Elimination Chamber before he left or before, the night was over? And then they could air those and Cody could try to go back and forth with the video or something. And it's like, well, if you listen to what The Rock said, John showed up to the press conference, grabbed the mic, dropped the mic, and apparently immediately jumped on a plane to leave to go back and film the Matchbox movie. So like I said, I have seen the criticism from some fans going, hey, why didn't they do any pre-tapes with John? I mean, granted, they probably could have done them earlier in the day, but they didn't want anybody to see them being filmed and then it spoil everything and they get out there and whatnot. But I think by himself, Cody has really done a great job. Yeah. Cody Rhodes, probably one of the better promos they have. And maybe you could say it's because that year or two, him and his sister went to LA and did acting classes and whatnot. So maybe that's it. But no, I think Cody did a great job. The one thing you can always say about Cody Rhodes, he's always got the emotion and the passion better than almost anybody right now.
Even in his face, you can see it. He's a man beaten down still. He's trying to just still, I think, collect himself after this huge moment, as you and I talked about last week, arguably, but hands down, one of the biggest moments in the last 20 plus years in pro wrestling, John Cena turning heel, a moment no one thought would ever happen, especially at this point in his career, his retirement year going on right now. And so Cody Rhodes is still reflecting on it. And I think he really delivered that passionately. Just, he's torn. A guy like you and I just said, he saw John Cena as a role model, someone he grew up with in this business, rode with him, learned a lot from him. And then here we are in present time, the guy turned his back on him. So it's heartbreaking. But now he's using that heartbreak to use it for his fuel, for passion, to get revenge on him and help set up this match for WrestleMania. And as we said on Raw this week, he wants to prevent John Cena from breaking that record, because John Cena is all about now. His motive is breaking the world title reign record that him and Ric Flair have at 16. He wants to get number 17. So Cody Rhodes' big thing is, one, keeping this title, because mentioned also, he's been told the longer you're champion, it becomes heavier and heavier, holding that title every day as world champion. But he said right now, man, it's light. Like, he's holding it up proudly. Like, I'm not feeling no pressure. I love being champion. You guys can count on me. And now the added bonus is, like, I want to prevent John Cena, heal John Cena from getting this title from him. But also, it's I do want to give him, credit for just, it's tough going out there trying to set this match by yourself. No one's there. But the other thing too, I think there's such a huge moment in the pro wrestling world, and historically, John Cena turning heel. You want him, his first time since that moment, you want it live in the ring. So I get people are frustrated and want to see a backstage video promo or something. Right. It's like, no, they're going to save that for live on television, tune in live to watch this show, to see him live in the ring and get that live reaction from the crowd, not waste that first what you say, you only get one first impression,
right?
And what I mean here, you only get one first impression of John Cena as a heel. You're going to save that moment for in the ring, not in a backstage video promo. And granted, you're right, when he does show up, it will be nearly over 2 weeks since he turned heel.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people wanted that. We talked about it last week. People are so impatient; they want things right away. WWE, I'm sure they want to spread this out. Like we just said, they got 5 weeks till WrestleMania. They got to stretch this out for the next 5 weeks. So, killing time last week, let Cody do the heavy lifting at first, let a couple weeks go by, build up that anticipation, people wanting to see what's John Cena's first words going to be. What is he going to say? And now next week's episode of Monday Night Raw really is going to become must-see TV to see what John Cena has to say. So it's going to be interesting, but yeah, I'm excited to see what happens. I hope we get a lot in this segment there. I'm anticipating not give us everything. I would not be surprised he walks out to the ring with no music or something. I don't know. I'm curious. They're not going to reveal everything. I think they're going to keep it. They're going to hold out.
I want to say John's supposed to be on like 2 or 3 straight Raws.
I think so. Yes. So they're on their big UK tour for like the next 3 weeks. Is that
for the
schedule?
rest of the month?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So John Cena, as we know so far, is scheduled for every Raw for the rest of March.
Wow.
So
Okay.
that's 3 weeks in a row. No SmackDowns, but Raw every week.
Gotcha. And then I believe early April when they come back, I think they're going to start some West Coast dates because Sacramento has a Raw.
Okay.
I think the Monday before WrestleMania. So I think before WrestleMania, they're going to do a lot of their shows on the West Coast.
Right now, this is very interesting that they announced it like this. They announced Cena for March 17th, 24, and 31. And we know he's working Mania, whichever night, 19th or 20th, Saturday, Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
But then they announced John Cena will be May 25th, Saturday night's main event.
Okay.
And then May 30th SmackDown, June 13th SmackDown, and June 20th SmackDown. So they announced them for before Mania, a little before, and then a little after. It's like a month before and a month after.
So hypothetically speaking, so those 3 leading up to Mania is obviously building the match for Cody. Then after Mania, could that be hypothetically a champion Cena doing some appearances?
Oh, it has to be.
Okay. All right.
And then also you got to think John Cena said he's going to do what, 35, 40 dates or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the rest of the year. If you think about it, once a week.
Yeah, totally. So I mean, we talked about last week with this heel Cena. I think early predictions is yes, he's going to win WrestleMania and become the 17 champions. As much as it's painful for me to say that, I love Cody Rhodes. I love him as WWE champion, but I think the story here is John Cena turns heel, wins the title, and Cody eventually gets his revenge on him at some point later in the year. So yeah.
Did you hear the story Dave Meltzer put out last week in The Observer that Rock really wanted Cody to be the one to turn heel, and Cody's the one that said, no, I can't do it right now. Like, I can't. He refused.
Thank you for reminding me about
Cena
that.
was number 2, I guess you would say.
But then was it The Rock's writer, Brian Gerwitz, wrote on Twitter,
he's been trying
Meltzer 0 for 2 on his reports?
No, I don't know, because Brian Gerwitz also, WrestleVotes put out a thing today saying that a name being thrown around for the group is the Rock and Soul connection. And Brian Gerwitz is like, oh, you got no good source or something like that. I don't know. What did he say? Hold on. He tried to shoot down WrestleVotes for it.
You think Brian Gerwitz is just trying to
yes, 100%.
Not like misdirect with
don't believe all these things so you could be surprised when they come and actually become a real thing.
Well, no, I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah. If that's the case, that's a smart move on Cody's part. He's so red hot right now. And you and I talked about this last week. Cody Rhodes is on the run of his lifetime right now. These last couple years to finish his story, that's just one arc right there. But now, this new arc that he's on right now, trying to go up against the final boss, The Rock, heel John Cena. If he can overcome these odds and beat these guys at some point to retain or become champion again for a second title reign, that will put him in the top tier of the all-time greats. Like we said last week, the Hogans, the Austins, the John Cenas. So you're right. Cody Rhodes, this is a smart move. He's selling a lot of merch. The fans are still cheering him on. Everyone loves him still. For him to turn heel right now, it's dumb. I can see Cody turn heel at some point if he feels like his character is getting stale or he needs a character change, or maybe it's ran its course. But no, you're still in the middle of this hot run he's on right now. So for them to abandon that and go heel, that's a terrible idea. So Cody, smart idea on them. And I think big picture, much better having John Cena as the heel, because now you create this mega heel for the babyface Cody Rhodes to go up against. So long term, this is the right move.
And I think John turning heel on Cody is the perfect way to do it, because Cody Rhodes is the closest to John Cena they've had. Yes. Not even Roman Reigns was this beloved by the children and, wildly popular like John Cena was. Now, eventually, I don't know if we're eventually going to get, like the let's go Cena sucks chance for Cody. Let's go Cody sucks eventually. Yeah. But it's like this is what Cody right now is what Vince wanted Roman to be. And it never worked.
Oh, yeah.
And so now that you have John Cena turning heel on basically his predecessor, it all works out perfectly. Also, Brian Guerso, it said one of the ideas discussed for the name for the group via WrestleVotes was the Rock and Soul Connection. Brian Guerso then quote tweeted it saying, "Your sources are drunk."
It just sounds like he's trying to misdirect the reporting there. So trying to keep somewhat kayfabe alive or not all those secrets out there. So, but yeah, I right now I'm excited still. I'm curious to see how this is going to go, but Cody can't do this all by himself. We need Cena there. So I'm glad they announced Cena going to be on the next 3 Raws. And I'm sure he'll probably be on.
There'll be 2 April. There's 2 weeks in April. They have 2
that Cena's going to be on.
No. That we don't know if Cena's going to be or not.
So that's what I was going to get at. Is I hope he has to be on the Go Home episode.
At least, yeah.
But here's the thing. That's the other thing too. Keep in mind, this segues into the next topic here. Cody and Cena, their face-off since Elimination Chamber is going to happen on Monday Night Raw. Cody appearing on Raw this week as WWE champion, but he's technically a SmackDown guy. This is technically a SmackDown story if you want to get like super in the details. So I feel kind of bad for like Gunther, Jey Uso, other people on Raw. I feel like this is like bleeding over into Monday Night Raw when this could be done on SmackDown. But I get it. It's WrestleMania season. It's like all hands on deck, and you kind of, the brand split, you kind of throw that out the window right now leading up to WrestleMania. But I feel like it's kind of overshadowing maybe some of the stories happening on Raw. I think you just got to be kind of careful there. But I guess it's Netflix. They're trying to put all the star power on Netflix as well.
That's what I was going to ask. Do you think that they think, and this is something that's I don't know if you've been following the Netflix rating and then the viewership number. That's something very interesting to look at. But do you think maybe we're going to put the John Cena big heel turn feud on Raw because it's going to get more eyeballs? Do you think it could be a thing like that they want?
Yeah,
the most
absolutely.
Views possibly, but apparently every week since January 6th when they debuted on Netflix, except the Raw After Chamber has been down, and it keeps going down, the viewership number. Now we get the actual number from Netflix, but you have to wait a week. They have like a website called Tudum or whatever it's called. You know, Tudum. Anyways, but when they put up and they say, hey, for the last week, here's the viewership numbers of the top 10 shows and the top 10 movies. I'm scared that Raw might fall out of the top 10 one of these weeks. Because I think the week before Chamber, I think it was number 8.
Interesting. So I wonder, Well,
let me see if I can pull it up.
I mean, they're trying hard to promote that partnership with Netflix. Every Raw, or at least in the big cities, they'll have people in the crowd that have shows on Netflix. So they're trying to have the star power. Like on Raw this week in New York City, how many people were in the stands and seats that have shows on Raw or on Netflix? So they're trying to do as much cross promotion synergy as they can. So
we have the number for March 3rd, which is the night after the Monday Raw, the Raw After Chamber.
Yeah.
They say, and I don't know 100% how they calculate the views, because it's like they could say Like, we don't know if it's, you jumped on for a second and it counts, or I think with Nielsen, you have to be on for a certain amount of time. But Nielsen, I'll tell you right now, I was in Nielsen home for a while because they told me they were going to pay me, and I barely made anything of like pennies. But a Nielsen thing is, I don't trust the Nielsen rating anyways, from what I know and what I experienced. It's basically estimate, I would say. But the March 3rd Raw was the number 7 thing as far as TV shows on Netflix. Wow. It was behind Halo season 1, which is like a 3-year or 4-year-old show that is now on Netflix, which I'm shocked that Paramount put it on to Netflix. Anyways, it was behind some new show with Kate Hudson called Running Point.
Okay.
And then something here with Robert De Niro and a couple other things. It barely beat the Andrew Scholes special. Wow. The comedy special. Yeah. Like it says, Raw did 3.1 million. Andrew Scholes did 2.9.
Wow. Okay.
Now, here's the question. Andrew Scholes was on Raw this week. You think him being on Raw could help him leapfrog Raw in the ratings? Or everyone watched it for 1 week and they don't need to go back to it? That's the thing with these comedy specials. You watch it, you're never going back to it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Yeah. Comedy special, most likely you watch it once and then... if you're a big enough fan, maybe you watch that comedian again, or you'll just memorize certain segments of the bit. There's certain comedy bits you'll remember from certain lines. But yeah, once you see one special live all the way through, you probably won't go back and watch it. But then again, I know Andrew Schultz on his YouTube channel, he talked about his experience, I think the next day. So his podcast has a big following. So maybe him talking about his appearance on Monday Night Raw will lead to like maybe getting some of his fans to watch Raw next week. That's
the other thing with these ratings. They don't tell us if it is a 24-hour rating. I believe it's a week rating, like over the whole week. I believe maybe.
So not just watching live, but people watch it on demand later.
I think from what I've heard, like Dave Meltzer say, and I want to say Brandon Thurston, because that's why we get the rating a week later.
Okay.
Because with Nielsen, it's the live. Plus, I want to say 24-hour DVR number, something like that. I'm not 100% on ratings, but yeah.
Yeah, though, it's going to be interesting here just how much of this Cody Rhodes, John Cena rivalry, this feud, the storyline is going to take place on Raw. And I'm a little worried it's going to overshadow the other storylines for the regular people that appear on Monday Night Raw every single week. So we'll see how that goes.
And then one other Netflix thing, remember, for the next 3 weeks, Raw's going to be airing early. Like, you can go back and watch it whatever time you want on Netflix, but if you want to be watching live, they're airing in prime time, whatever country they're in. So, like, SmackDown tomorrow, if you have Netflix internationally through like a VPN or whatever, it's going to be 3 Eastern airing live.
Gotcha.
So just know that, too. SmackDown will air whatever on the USA Network your normal time, but Raw live is going to be early.
Yeah, which I'm excited. Like this coming Monday when they're in Europe, it's going to be 12 o'clock Pacific time. So at
something
noon,
like that.
So I could be, coming home from work early and watching Monday Night Raw as soon as I get home from having lunch and watching that. So I'm excited for that. But with that being said, I'm talking about Cena, Rhodes. Their story could be overshadowing what's going on in Raw. My next question for you, Tim, what is going to be the main event for night 1 of WrestleMania 41? Because as we've seen the last couple weeks now, there are potentially 3 different storylines, feuds, matches could main event night 1. So I'm just curious, what could it be? So I'm just throwing it out there. We know Jey Uso won the Royal Rumble this year. He's going to take on Gunther. He picked Gunther a few weeks ago. And we'll talk about their whole program and that storyline, or maybe lack of, in a second there. Also, Io Sky shockingly beat Rhea Ripley last week for the WWE World Women's title. So she's now the champion. A big surprise, big shocker. Rhea Ripley, who everyone thought was going to be champion, and Bianca Belair, who won the Elimination Chamber 2 weeks ago. So as of right now, it's supposed to be Bianca versus Io. Rhea's pissed off that she lost the title. She's getting involved there. We'll talk about what they did this week on Raw in a second. And now the third possible main event here is Seth Rollins versus CM Punk versus Roman Reigns, who we saw Roman Reigns make his big return this Monday on Raw. He interfered the main event, the steel cage match between Seth Rollins and CM Punk, live in Madison Square Garden. by interfering, he more or less pulled out Seth Rollins, and Seth Rollins won the match technically because his feet touched the ground first outside the ring. So he cost CM Punk the match. So those are the three right now. I feel like that's kind of like the online discussion right now is those are the three matches that could potentially main event night one. How are you thinking right now? What's maybe first things first, let's talk about which one would you pick for night one, and then maybe let's talk about each three of their segments from this week and how it played out.
Oh, for me, it's easy. It's CM Punk finally getting his WrestleMania main event.
Okay.
But here is the interesting thing. As we talk about how the John Cena, Cody Rhodes feud sounds like a SmackDown feud taking place on Raw. Well, this is a Raw feud. Roman is announced for multiple SmackDowns, not Raws. Granted, he wasn't announced or, advertised for the Raw this past Monday, so he could show up on any show. But it's interesting that not tomorrow, but the next 2 weeks, Roman is advertised for SmackDown.
Overseas. Those are going to be overseas.
Yes.
Interesting.
And so it's like, well, this is a Raw feud. So are Punk and, granted, I don't know exactly how everything's going to work with them being on the road. Who's staying? I don't know. Let me see. Look, I'm looking at the WWE schedule right now. When they run these.
So
go for it.
So I'm just saying, like, Netflix, whoever's like, yeah, give us Cena, Rhodes, and have us build their story on Netflix. In return, you have Roman, Punk, and Seth build up their match on SmackDown for the next couple weeks. So they're doing like a switcheroo here?
Maybe, because I'm trying to see. So it's like, see, this is the weird thing. It's like on the 17th for next week's Monday, they have Raw. But then they have like 4 days off. So they just stay in the UK for 4 days, just sightseeing, and then go to SmackDown that Friday? Because they don't even have any shows announced or set up like during that. Like before, they'd be like, oh, we got 3 weeks straight of shows. Or maybe a day off to travel or something here and there. But it's like, you got Raw on Monday, and you have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday with nothing.
Yeah, so are they like required to stay overseas for like 3 weeks? Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
Because like Roman, he's only got those 2 SmackDowns, so I assume he just flies into Italy and then flies into London.
So let me ask you this, though. Are you okay with CM Punk getting his first main event match at WrestleMania, but non-title?
Oh, yeah.
Is that okay? And then, okay, so let's talk about, I'm with you. I'm kind of leaning towards Seth Rollins, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, a triple threat match here being the main event. Unfortunately, yes, Io Sky, Bianca, and Rhea, I'm sure that's going to turn into a triple threat at some point. That's unfortunately, I don't think they're going to have that as the main event here. You brought up a good point off the air. We were talking about Jey Uso and Gunther as far as
have that open night one and get that crowd going with Jey winning the belt.
That would be really
hype
ballsy.
Hype up the crowd, get them going, and then you do, I don't know, Randy Orton, Kevin Owens right after that, so you don't just kill them with a dud match or something.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because initially my gut was saying Jey Uso versus Gunther should main event night one, because that's how you make that world title still feel very, very relevant if it's main eventing one of the nights of WrestleMania.
Remember WrestleMania 35, they opened with Brock and Seth, and Seth came out of that as the big, huge Universal Champion.
That's true. Yeah. My other thing too is, what better way to end night one if you have like 70,000 people, wherever, how many people are going to be in attendance that night, all yeeting to Jey Uso after he won that title? Because I think hands down, it's so obvious. I think Jay's going to win the title here.
That would be cool. The yeeting at the end of the show, or the whole crowd singing CM Punk's song.
Okay. Now, all right. So hypothetically, okay, let's talk about all three of these programs so far. Jey Uso versus Gunther. So Jey Uso had a match against Grayson Waller this week on Raw. Gunther comes out afterwards after Jey won. It just puts him in another sleeper. And it's like, it's getting kind of repetitive. It's like Gunther comes out, tries to beat up Jey Uso. He said he was going to make his life a living hell for picking him for after he won the Royal Rumble. But I don't know. I feel like I want some more substance to this feud, not just Jey Uso is on Raw and Gunther comes out of nowhere and just tags him. Like, I want some more meat to this bone there. I don't know how about you, what you're feeling about this build so far.
So to make a kind of wacky, dumb analogy here, you got Gunther coming out, putting Jey Uso in the sleeper hold, and then Jay's like an hour later just cutting promos backstage, no problem. It's not that Gunther's putting Jay to sleep. He's putting us asleep, not caring about this feud, because they're doing the same thing every single week.
Yeah, they got to do something more here. And like I said to you before on a prior episode, like I want Jay to go after Gunther from a mental standpoint, be like, listen, I know why you're upset that I picked you. I almost beat you at Saturday Night's Main Event back in December. I was this close to beating you then. I won the Royal Rumble after beating 29 of the other best superstars in this company right now. And I picked you. You're scared. You know deep down I have your number. That's why you're really upset that I picked you, because I almost beat you before. So I just feel like, and you're trying to cover up you're being scared by attacking me every single week. You're trying to beat me down so I'm not 100% for my match, because you know I have your number. So I just feel like that's where Jay could come from a psychological standpoint to get in Gunther's head. Like, you're this big final boss monster, unstoppable force of nature for years in WWE and prior to even joining WWE, but no one's had your number before, and you know I have it. So I feel like psychologically that's how they can get there. So hopefully Jay will cut a promo soon and kind of acknowledge that, or bring that up in some capacity,
Right?
That like, you're scared, Gunther. You know I got you. So because I don't know, we'll see.
He doesn't just have that though. He's also got the fact of, hey, you said you're going to put me through hell, but every week I'm still here. You say you're going to take me out, you're going to put me down, and I'm not going to be able to make it to Mania, but I'm still good. I'm standing, and you're the one running away after you try to beat me down.
Exactly. And he says, I come back every single week. This crowd is here every single week that got my back, and he can, then the crowd could get into it as well. Like, me and the WWE universe are coming after you. So like, there's so much that can do more with this. So I hope so. And listen, I love Gunther. I love Walter. I love every version of him. He's a badass. I mean, I think his world title reign's been a little underwhelming the last couple months right now, but it's just, there's so much going on right now with the company. But so yeah, we'll see how that goes with Jey Uso plays out here. Let's talk about Io Sky, Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, their program, their segment this week. I feel kind of bad for Io Sky. She won the title last week, a shocking fashion, but she's almost like the third wheel in this storyline right now, because Rhea and Bianca are confronting each other in the ring, talking to each other. They're focused on each other right now. Rhea's pissed at Bianca because she interfered in the match last week. Bianca is telling her, like, that was my time now to go after the title. Io Sky's the champion, but she's like in the back, like just standing there. How do you feel that as champion, she's kind of like the third wheel in this whole thing?
I think it's brilliant, because we're going to get, and this is if I were booking it based off of what we got Monday. I saw that and I go, oh, okay, I can see where this is going. If I was Triple H and I booked that segment on Monday where everyone thinks, oh, it's Io's the third wheel, like you said. Yeah. What I would do is now Bianca and Rhea are so hyper focused on each other that Io goes into that match at WrestleMania and they're so hyper focused on taking out each other and beating each other. She then sneaks in, not really sneaks in, but she's there and takes the advantage of one takes one down, she's going to pounce. The one takes one down, she's going to pounce. And then that's how she's going to win, because they're eventually going to beat each other up so bad that she's going to have the opportunity to just jump in, hit that moonsault and pin one of them and win. But yeah, I think, Io lost to Bayley last year, so it's her time this year to get the big WrestleMania title win.
That's going to be interesting you say that, because I think we mentioned this last week. Bianca Belair has a WrestleMania win streak going right now. It's not Undertaker levels yet, but I think she's won, 5 in a row now, I want to say, hypothetically, because I think, what was her first Mania? Was it 2020?
The Sasha Banks match?
Because that was 2021, if I remember, Tampa Bay. That was the first.
Did she do the PC Mania? I don't think she did.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right. I'm looking it up.
So 21 was Sasha Banks. 2022... that was oh my god, Becky Lynch. 23 in LA, wasn't that
okay, so I got him here. So technically, her first WrestleMania was 2018, WrestleMania 34. She was in the Battle Royal on the kickoff show.
That's right. Okay.
So that you wouldn't count. But technically, her first one having like a main card match would have been the Sasha Banks match.
Interesting. Okay, so it's only 21, 22, 23, 24. So she's 4-0.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, so
and if you want to keep some sort of semblance of a streak alive, you have Io pin Rhea.
Gotcha. Okay. So I'm with you. It just that first part of that segment, I was a little taken back. I was like, man, Io's the champion, but she's like the third wheel, and like Rhea and Bianca are focused on each other. I laughed when Io tried to get involved, like insert herself. Rhea pushed her, then Bianca. But Io, I love her mannerism, her body language. She was like, blah, like she just made this goofy face and like blah, like it made me laugh so hard at her reaction. So
see, I think her and Asuka have the best like body language and face, and they have to because of their limitations with the English language.
Absolutely.
And I think it's actually benefited them almost more than anybody.
Exactly. And then I love, though, after getting shoved to the side by both of them, Io came back and slapped both of them in the face. And then it turned to a whole little brawl right there. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting, though, how they're going to get Rhea make this into a triple threat. Because right now on paper, it's technically Io versus Bianca. So, but obviously Rhea confronting them the week after, she's not going anywhere. They want Rhea's star power on the WrestleMania card. So just how they're going to get there. We talked about in last week's episode, maybe at some point in the coming weeks, Bianca and Rhea get so frustrated with each other. Maybe Rhea calls out Bianca and says, put your number one contendership on the line as a make good for interfering in my match, and winner gets involved, or winner gets to face Io at WrestleMania, but then maybe it's a wonky finish and then it turns into a triple threat. So we'll see. Yeah.
Here's my one last question on this. Who's the heel?
Yeah, that is true.
They're all baby faces.
Yeah. It's also a tough situation right now. Yeah, you're right. It's all baby faces here.
Unless you're gonna turn Rhea.
I don't know.
Bianca, I don't think they can because of the Jade Naomi story.
Yes.
Which unless it comes out that Bianca did know and she was just playing, but I don't think she did. Yeah. And Io, no. It's just no.
Yeah, no. So I was going to say, so we'll talk more about Bianca when we talk about SmackDown in a little bit. So yeah, it's been a busy week for Bianca Belair. All right, last thing real quick. Seth Rollins, CM Punk, steel cage match. Very fun match. I mean, it's legendary. I like it's cool that WWE reminds you of the history of steel cage matches, specifically at Madison Square Garden, have always been a big thing for WWE for decades. And it's just cool showing some of those old highlights from the 70s and 80s and stuff. I geek out so hard for those big historical moments there. Super cool. Awesome match. I know some people kind of complaining it was like both of them kicking out of finishers and whatnot, but I mean, we see that everywhere in today's world. AEW, the indies, everyone kicks out a lot of finishers.
The night before, how many finishers did they kick out in that cage match at Revolution?
Exactly. But at the very end, we see Roman Reigns make his big return. We have not seen him since Royal Rumble, right? Technically?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because they did the injury angle where Seth accidentally double stomped him and actually, I think, rocked him a little bit.
Yeah.
And then they did a stomp on the steps.
So here he is coming back about 5 weeks later. And as Seth is like leaning towards the door for the cage, like almost making an escape. I like this match. They both were not, CM Punk and Seth Rollins in the first half of this match were really determined just to beat the crap at each other. They weren't concerned about trying to escape the cage or anything. But anyway, at the end, Seth Rollins is like almost towards the door. Roman comes in, grabs him, and drags him out. But since Seth's feet touched the ground first, he technically won the match with the help of Roman Reigns. But then Roman Reigns, Superman punched him, speared him, took him out. And then he went inside the ring, took out CM Punk. Here's the thing, though. Paul Heyman was hugging CM Punk, like consoling him. And Roman Reigns kind of looked at him. What do you think that means? Or what do you think? Because this storyline, all three guys have beef with one another in some capacity. Seth versus CM Punk, we know their history for decades now. Even their match at the January 6th episode of Monday Night Raw, Seth and Roman have their history with the Shield. Obviously, we know about that. Punk, Roman are both vying for the attention of Paul Heyman as their wise man. You know, Punk is a Paul Heyman guy. Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman is his wise man, and I think that's it. Like, you know, so you know what I'm getting at. They all have some sort of beef with one another. So it is a very sticky situation with all three of them there. So, but specifically Heyman, where do you think Heyman's going to play into all this?
So if you're asking about Paul Heyman, my question on Raw was, when did Heyman come down to the ring? Because it didn't look like he walked down with Roman.
Okay.
Now, if he did, maybe Roman went to the side of the door and Paul walked around the other way so we didn't see it. But if not, then why would Heyman come down separately just to check on CM Punk? Like, are we getting what I've been kind of wanting to see? I've said it a couple times now. Hey, CM Punk, he beats Roman Reigns with the help of the wise man somehow at WrestleMania. He wins at WrestleMania by turning heel and Paul Heyman joining him and saying, I'm sorry, my tribal chief, but our time has come and gone. And then somehow, I don't know how Heyman would help. Like, Heyman's not going to do anything physical to Roman.
Maybe that's the favor. Help me win the match.
Right.
Because we don't know what they keep saying this favor. What is this favor? But what degree is this favor? Is the favor to get him a main event match? Is the favor to make it a triple threat? Is the favor, to help him in the middle of a match get the victory? I mean, it's such a vague statement, and I guess that's done on purpose so they can write it however they want to in the near future. But yes, Paul Heyman's role is going to be interesting here. And however, though, my only concern is the build. I mean, I hope we get more Roman Reigns. Like, I feel like it's going to be Seth and CM Punk doing the most of the talking for the next few weeks and Roman showing up occasionally. I hope Roman shows up. I know you said earlier he's going to be on a couple SmackDowns.
Not tomorrow, but the next 2 weeks.
Okay. So that's obviously probably going to build up their matches there. So I want Roman there. Having Roman there obviously makes this WrestleMania feel bigger. He's one of the biggest stars in this company. They need him for this road to WrestleMania build. So yes, I'm looking forward to that.
It'll be Roman's first Mania in 4 years that he's not defending a title.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be curious how they're gonna make this a triple threat. I mean, is it simple? Just like, hey, we all hate each other. Make it a triple threat, Nick Aldis or whoever.
Now,
Adam Pearce.
Do you think he jumped in the cage because he was mad that Heyman was consoling Punk, or just, CM Punk, I got to beat him up too?
I mean, seeing Paul Heyman in the ring, he probably wanted to go in there
because he didn't.
What's going on?
But he didn't though. That's the thing. I thought maybe he would like grab Punk, throw him against the cage, spear, and then like look at Heyman like, what was that? But he didn't even acknowledge Heyman when he jumped in.
It's almost like he kind of smirked, or he was kind of like smiling, like, you know.
Yeah, it was a little awkward.
It was weird. Like he's like he seemed confused. Smile when you smile. Sometimes when you're confused, you're like, like so. Anyway, that's gonna be, how they're gonna turn this into a triple threat officially, and it seems like right now that could be the main event for night one. So we'll see. Last thing I just want to mention about Raw this week, as major highlights. Another match it looks like they're building towards AJ Styles and Logan Paul. As we talked about earlier, comedian Andrew Schultz was sitting front row ringside there, promoting his Netflix special. But then Logan Paul comes out, cut this promo, talks to Andrew Schultz. They're buddies. They've been on each other's podcast. And Andrew Schultz went babyface here, which I was shocked. I thought he was going to be a heel. But he told Logan Paul, like, you're not a real wrestler. You're not a regular wrestler. And Logan Paul got pissed and then tried to beat him up and threw him in the ring. But AJ Styles made the save. So it looks like it's going to be AJ versus Logan Paul at Mania.
To me, the funniest part was Andrew Schultz goes, well, we ain't Cleveland. You're from Cleveland, so people from Cleveland like you. But then they go to Cleveland and they boom out the building too.
Exactly. So are you cool with that for AJ Styles, like him and Logan Paul for WrestleMania? I'm sure it's going to be a really high-flying type match.
So it'll probably, if I'm thinking here, be similar, but a little better than the Shane WrestleMania match that AJ had, the Shane McMahon one. Because Logan, works kind of, I don't want to say similar to Shane, but it's in the way of like, he's more athletic than Shane, of course, but he always wants to get that one big high spot in, just like Shane.
Interesting. Okay.
So maybe it could be something. And AJ talked about this in his Chris Van Vliet episode. He's like, that Shane McMahon match was way better than it had any right to be. He's like, everyone went in there thinking it was going to be a dud, and we tore it down.
Nice. Yeah,
He said he loved working Shane at WrestleMania.
I need to finish watching that one. I watched the whole Scott Steiner one on Chris Van Vliet. I love that one. He said, some guys from Harvard said that my math was right. Yes, I saw. So yeah, check that out. Last thing, just real quick, we saw New Day take on Dragon Lee and Rey Mysterio in a tornado tag team match. We saw this masked person with American-made luchador mask come out, interfere, and then everyone assumed it was Chad Gable just from the body size, the fact that we saw the week before Chad Gable traveled to Mexico in this video package, bought what appeared to be a mask for a guy in a box. So, but then backstage, Kathy Kelly interviews Chad Gable, and she's like, "What were you doing out there?" And he's like, "That wasn't me." And then in the background, we see someone else, same exact outfit with that luchador mask, being arrested, taken out. So I think it's obviously a little bit misdirect. A lot of people are saying that's Ray Phoenix. It's like, no,
because it looks like a Phoenix on a mask.
I think what happens is, Chad paid someone to have to look like that. So it's just, to me, it was a funny segment, but I think it's gonna be revealed that it's Chad Gable is the new American-made luchador, or
Mr. America 2.0.
Mr. America 2.0. So that was so that'll be a fun story, I think, to play out more in the coming weeks on Raw. So but yeah,
you could pre-order that mask right now for the low price of $49.99.
Really?
You won't get it till June, the end of June, but
what? Like pre-orders?
Yeah, you pre-order now. It says the mask will ship no later than June 27th.
Oh my God. I'm oh, that is if you get it by June, you'd be ready for 4th of July.
Maybe.
But it'd be a fun mask to wear on 4th of July weekend, all that. So
how perfect was Kathy Kelly though in that segment?
Oh,
she was like, "Chad, it was you. Don't lie to us." And then all of a sudden the guys, she's like,
no, she's great. Yeah. Big fan of hers. All right, so let's move on over to SmackDown from last week. Just go over the quick highlights from there. First things first, saw Randy Orton make his big return to SmackDown. Comes out, cuts a promo, just reflecting on what happened with him and Kevin Owens at Elimination Chamber. As we saw Elimination Chamber, he made his big return to beat up Kevin Owens after Kevin Owens beat Sami Zayn in the unsanctioned match. He cuts a promo. He acknowledged John Cena. It pretty much called John Cena a bottom, the Rock's bottom. And he says the whole new meaning for rock bottom. And like we talked about last week, I think heel champion John Cena is going to be a lot of fun throughout the summer if he has rematches with all his old foes who are baby faces now. So like Randy Orton, CM Punk, and the list goes on of who's the OGs there, but are baby faces take on heel John Cena. That's going to be fun. So I think that's a little just laying the foundation for a potential matchup between the two of them down the road.
Also, is this why they haven't started a build for the Joe Hendry match yet? Because we need to heel Cena first.
Oh, exactly. Oh, yeah.
If they were to go that route.
If you're watching the video version of this podcast, I got my I Believe in Joe Hendry, my new shirt. Loved it. Nice guy to meet him a few weeks ago. But all right. And then after that, Randy Orton goes into just calling out Kevin Owens and says, listen, you turned on Cody Rhodes. You were mad at him for joining helping Roman Reigns, tagging with him. And then you got mad at Sami Zayn because he helped Roman Reigns picking him up in the Royal Rumble match and the Bloodline reunion. Let's be real. You're really just jealous. As you're jealous that Cody Rhodes was champion. You're jealous that Sami Zayn's more popular than you now. So that's why you're taking your anger out on these two guys. And that's the same thing you did to me when you took that package pile driver on me and took me out for months. So obviously it's going to lead into a match for WrestleMania. But your thoughts on Randy Orton's first promo back since his hiatus.
I thought it was fine, normal Randy Orton promo. Nothing special, to be honest.
Yeah.
Especially since Kevin Owens wasn't there or whatever. But it was just simple, telling us, hey, I want you. So we're going to get to WrestleMania. Not much to it, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. So it's not a lot there, but it's just, Randy Orton was explaining Kevin Owens' thinking for turning on Cody and Sami Zayn. But he's like, in reality, you're just jealous of both of their success.
He did say something, if I'm remembering correctly, to the line of, when I came back, I said nothing was going to piss me off like it used to, but you have, or something like that. I can't remember. So I'm like, oh, okay. So now they're showing like, you got under my skin more than I was going to try to allow. And
he also said he's going to be next to Pat McAfee, the next best punt in the WWE. Yep. So they're building to that, because when he beat down when Randy Orton beat down Kevin Owens at Elimination Chamber, he was about to do the punt, but the officials jumped in and stopped it. Obviously, that's going to lead to a big moment at WrestleMania when he actually does the punt kick on Kevin Owens' head. So,
because I think he said something like, I'm going to kick you in the face to where your family can't recognize you or something.
Exactly. Yeah. So, next up, the other big moment from this week on SmackDown, finally, the big revelation, the reveal of who Jade Cargill's attacker was. And Naomi finally admitted that it was her, as we talked about last week during Elimination Chamber. When the match was about to start, the women's match, Jade Cargill comes out, makes a beeline past Liv Morgan, beats up Naomi. Bianca Belair is freaking out. She's stuck in a pod. She can't come out and try to break up her two friends from this altercation here. This week on SmackDown, Bianca Belair comes out, cuts a promo and says, Naomi, I know you're here. Let's talk about this. Naomi comes down here. I love this segment because it felt real, like a more real conversation. More real than you would have got, I think, in the Vince McMahon era of promos or dialogue. Like Vince McMahon era, especially the last few years, I think when people are having a conversation in the ring or whatever, it's kind of hollow, doesn't feel real, like real emotions.
They would have needed Vince's buzzwords.
Exactly. This felt real as far as like two friends having an issue that they've been like dreading having that conversation. But they're finally having that conversation. They're talking it out. And Bianca's flat out asking Naomi, did you do it? Why'd you do it? Did you do it? And Naomi, to her credit, she was deflecting every question and not answering her question by trying to say something else. And that's something like a narcissistic person or just someone who's guilty of something, avoiding answering the question or confessing to their crime. So that's why I love this segment here. It just felt real. Like Naomi knows she's guilty, but she wasn't answering Bianca's question straight up and just trying to explain herself. It's like, listen, we did this. Like, we should be focusing on this, not what happened to Jade. Sure enough, Naomi just had it and just said, yes, I did it, for you. And then it felt very similar to like when Rikishi admitted that he ran over Stone Cold for The Rock. So, then that turned into a meme online. So
because he's like, I back Naomi in this. He said it on his podcast or whatever.
So let me ask you, what do you think though? Naomi admitting that she attacked Jade Cargill, and just her thinking or her explanation for doing it on behalf of Bianca.
So I said it on Friday when I reviewed SmackDown, and I tweeted this out as well. I said this segment was good because it felt messy in the right way. Messy as far as it didn't feel like some overly scripted, rehearsed, pre-planned segment. It felt like they were maybe given bullet points, or they knew where they were going because they knew where the story's going and was told, go out there and make it feel real, and they did. Naomi was out there getting choked up for real. Bianca,
the tears,
crying, walking away.
Naomi tearing up on cue. Awesome. But you're right. Bianca walking out of the ring crying as well. You're right.
I loved when Jade comes out eventually, and Bianca's just like looking at her like, oh no. And then eventually she goes, you know what? Just go.
Yeah.
Like she gives her that nod, like, just I can't do anything else.
So
no, I thought it was perfect. The greatest Naomi performance we've ever seen. We've seen a couple good Naomi promos over the last decade and a half she's been in WWE.
Yeah,
but this was the best performance we've ever seen from Naomi, and I thought it was fantastic.
If I remember, did Naomi try to rationalize saying like Jay came in and was trying to take your spot?
She was riding your coattails, trying to steal your moment and get everything she had with you doing the work and her just riding along.
Yeah, so this was great. And then Naomi eventually was like, yeah, I did it. And then Jade comes out. Naomi tries to escape, but Jade catches her, brings her back in, beats her down. And
don't get me started on how Naomi tried to run away, where she jumped out of the ring and then went, who?
I know.
And then she kind of dodged her, and then she goes to jump over the barricade. She's like 1 foot up over, and that was the weird part.
But that barricade, that's by the timekeeper, the bell keeper over there. There's a little slot you can run around it to go to outside. Like, no, instead we try to jump over it when there's a little opening 2 feet over. Yeah, it was goofy right there. But with that being said, so now it looks like Bianca can now break away, focus on Rhea, Io Sky. Jade and Naomi are now on a crash course for potentially a Mania match. That could be a Mania match right there.
That's what I was going to ask you. Is that a Mania match or a SmackDown the night before match?
I know last week's episode, that was one of the matches we predicted that could happen that weekend, WrestleMania weekend. Okay. Granted, there's so many other titles could be on the line. Other names. You're right. That could be the first match. If this is like a trilogy per se, let's say, this could be the first match, and that can be done on the Go Home episode of SmackDown. So I think that's a good spot right there. Because keep in mind, WrestleMania weekend, they really do take over that city that they're in. So it's going to be Friday night SmackDown, and then the Hall of Fame ceremony afterwards on that Friday.
So late.
I know it says 9 o'clock. It's not gonna. It's gonna be a separate location, the Fountain Blue hotel, 9 o'clock.
No. And that's not even the worst part. The website, WWE's press release said 10, but then on TV they said 9. So they've got 2 different times out there for the Hall of Fame.
Okay. I got double check there. Yeah.
So regardless, if you want to stay up and watch it and you're on the East Coast, it's midnight or 1 o'clock before it's even starting.
And is it only going to be the 3 of them? Lex Luger, Triple H?
So,
Earthquake and Typhoon.
Yes, and one of them
Natural disasters.
One of them was, I forget which one. One of them was on some podcast and was like, "Oh yeah, Bruce Pritchard called me and gave me the good news." He kind of spilled the beans.
Oh, okay.
And then they'll probably have a celebrity.
Well, it has to be it's Typhoon. It's Taskmaster. It's Cody Rhodes' uncle. Because Earthquake, unfortunately, passed away. What's his name?
Ottman. I forget. It's Fred Ottman, I think.
Yeah.
No, he was on a podcast.
Yeah, Fred Ottman. Yeah.
I can't remember what one he was on, but he was like, "Yeah, I got the news from Mr. Pritchard called me and gave me the good news that we're going in the Hall of Fame." So that's technically been confirmed. And then we need like the celebrity
induction.
I think what do they usually do? 5.
I think less is more here. Yeah. So do Triple H, Lex Luger.
It's weird because
Michelle McCool. Yeah.
It's weird because you've got, and not to get too off track here, you've got SmackDown at the T-Mobile Arena. And then you have, here's the weird part too. I looked up like the travel distance and everything.
Yeah.
You have the Fountain Blue where they're doing the Hall of Fame an hour or 2 later. We don't really know because they've given us multiple times. And if you want to drive there, they say it is a 9-minute drive with no traffic. There's always traffic in Vegas. But for some reason, Google Maps says it'll take you an hour to walk between.
That's the thing with Vegas. You've been to Vegas.
You have to
before.
go.
Oh, yeah. To walk
a different route to walk. You can't walk the way you drive around because the sidewalk, some areas don't have sidewalk. And yeah.
I mean, walking, you cannot have like a simple walk up and down the street in Vegas on the strip because some resorts have a sidewalk out front, some don't. You gotta walk through the hotel. It's a mess. So yeah, you're right. Walking from one place to another is not easy straight shot. You gotta
the cheapest ticket's like $280
for the Hall of Fame.
That's what I was told by somebody that messaged me. Hold on, let me see if tickets, because I know pre-sale went on sale. I think full tickets go on sale Friday.
Well, as you look that up, I was just gonna say, so SmackDown Hall of Fame Friday night, Stand and Deliver, WrestleMania Night 1 on Saturday. Night 2, WrestleMania on Sunday. Go the Raw After Mania on that Monday. So that's 4 days of they're trying to get people at all their WWE related shows. So you gotta beef up that go home episode of SmackDown. So yeah, I can see Naomi versus Jade have their first match between the two of them at that SmackDown. It's I don't know if because there's so much other star power for WrestleMania. I think they're trying to get to. I think SmackDown's a great spot for that one to take place at. So real quick, I just want to acknowledge. So we saw Chelsea Green defend the U.S. title, women's U.S. title, against Michin in a street fight. She won. We saw Alba Fire come out, makes her big return. She's been gone for months, and has a similar suit to outfit as Piper Niven, and was saluting Chelsea Green. So she looks like another Secret Service agent, like Piper Niven is. So it looks like Chelsea Green's building up a little bit stable of security forces around her. So what are your thoughts on Alba Fire making her big return and joining up with Chelsea Green?
Very weird, very random, very odd. I don't think Chelsea needs a full stable. Her and Piper together are perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But they work so well together because Chelsea's funny. Piper knows how to do the comedy stuff. I've never seen Alba Fire do comedy stuff. So it's like, is she going to be the stiff here? Is she going to be like the straight
late? Yeah.
I don't know. And we know that this was supposed to be Blair Davenport originally. So
before she got released, that was the rumor of what her storyline was going to be. So it's unfortunate that Blair Davenport still doesn't have a job and could have been that role, but I'm sure for them, it's just also interesting. It's like the non-US, because Piper Niven they're both from Scotland, right? I
think Piper is.
Yeah, so I think it's just funny. They're both like Scottish descent, and they're representing the U.S. champions. So that's just interesting there.
So the cheapest ticket for Hall of Fame is $225. That is the cheapest one that they have. Now, granted, there's also like a farther back section that's not available yet that might go on sale Friday. That's going to be a little bit cheaper. But yeah. Cool thing is though, the way this, I don't know what the building actually looks like, but from the setup that we see, I'm looking here at the seating chart, looks like it's more of a theater style. So that's cool for our Hall of Fame.
Yeah, exactly. So someone on stage talking, presenting, kind of reminds me of like the old school Hall of Fame ceremonies for WWE before they were doing it in the arena.
Yeah.
So that'd be kind of cool, that experience there. So I'm kind of curious, if they're gonna be able to pack the place for that stuff. I'm sure they will. I mean, obviously all those fans in Vegas, but
they're lucky they're on the West Coast, because if that was Philly, they try to do that in Philly, and you're not starting till midnight.
I remember. Then again, it is Vegas. Party up all night.
Right. But I'm just saying they're lucky that they got Pacific time.
But damn, think about that though. If you're, because the WWE wrestlers, they have to sit through the ceremony too. They have to attend it, so they gotta leave SmackDown, change, get over to.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's like
theater, but then get up early the next day to get ready for the WrestleMania match.
They have to be there early for the red carpet stuff if they do that for Hall of Fame as well.
Yeah. Oh my God. So
if you're working SmackDown, oh god dang.
Well, I'm sure if you're in the first hour of SmackDown, you're probably allowed to go, and they'll shuttle you over to the theater. Probably they all shuttles taking everyone over there.
And then the other question is, Triple H even going to be at SmackDown? Maybe they have Bruce run the show, so Triple H could be at Hall of Fame.
Oh my
early,
God!
because Triple H, is going to be there setting everything up, but also getting ready for his stuff. Like, how involved is he going to be in the production compared to him doing his induction speech? So it's like, it's very weird. I don't know why they didn't go Thursday.
Yeah. So, all right. Last thing from SmackDown, we'll just touch on real quick. The main event, it was Shinsuke Nakamura defending the U.S. title against LA Knight. LA Knight wins, picks up the victory. He's now a 2-time U.S. champion. And this match, unfortunately, a lot of people who want to celebrate LA Knight's win, which is a cool moment for him again. But I think the bigger discussion from this is just how a lot of people are sad for Shinsuke Nakamura and how underwhelming his U.S. title reign is. And I think a lot of people are posing the question out there, is this the worst U.S. title reign of all time? Because there wasn't really one. There was a lack of any presence or just title defenses, a run there. He won the title at Survivor Series against LA Knight at War Games in November. But then over the next 3 months, he just kind of lurking in the background, stalking people, not really doing much, cutting promos or having regular matches defending that title. It was just a very underwhelming U.S. title reign, and it sucks. I feel bad for Shinsuke because I don't think that's on him. It's the powers that be for creative that control this. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this U.S. title reign for Shinsuke?
My opinion is there was only one reason Shinsuke won this belt, so he could show up at that Noah show with a WWE championship over his shoulder or around his waist. Think about it. They wanted a champion represented on that Noah New Year's show. Whether that was a Noah call or a WWE call, I wouldn't know. But that's the only thing he did. He won the title, then disappeared, did the Noah show, came back, had that one match with LA Knight that was a DQ, and then he had this match that he dropped the title. It's so weird.
3 months and 2 title matches. I mean, that's so ridiculous. Like, I'm really, if you're watching this right now, please leave a comment if you could think of a worse U.S. title reign in the history of that belt.
At least it was longer than his 2019 title reign. The last, so I'm looking at all the, because you said, was there a worse title reign? He had a title from January 27th, 2019 to January 29th, 2019. 2-day title reign. Shinsuke Nakamura.
That's right. He was the U.S.
Yeah.
But was that big?
Shinsuke Nakamura reclaimed the United States Championship at the 2019 Royal Rumble by defeating Rusev on the kickoff show after the super athlete collided with Lana, leaving Rusev open for a Kinshasa. Then 2 days later, he lost it to R-Truth. Who held it for 74 days.
Poor Shinsuke. It just sucks because I don't want to bag on Shinsuke. It's not his fault. It's the creative team, like in pro wrestling, that control his destiny with that title. And obviously, they didn't have anything lined up for him. And that's a shame. They should have done more with him, create some storylines. It was cool when Shinsuke came back and this new look of his, this heel evil look, like he looks like a Sith Lord from Star Wars. The all black and like the red black makeup from his eyes. Like, it was a cool look, and he cut some like cool video promos. I thought this could be something really cool for them to do with him, but unfortunately it didn't lead to much. And so it's just a bummer that they couldn't do more for him. And now what's next for him? Obviously they might put him on the shelf again and just break glass when they feel like they need him to be a heel for someone else down the road. And then for LA Knight, what's next for him? Are they going to set up another quick feud to be for WrestleMania? I mean, wasn't on SmackDown? Wasn't there? Let's see. I'm trying to think. What can they do for LA Knight come WrestleMania? Because I'm sure they want LA Knight's star power or his fan reaction on the card.
If we look at who could potentially be in line for the U.S. title next, we go back to last week, not last week, but the week before when they did that mini tournament.
Yes.
And so you can see it's going to probably be one of those guys. Maybe a Braun Strowman, but I don't think it's Braun Strowman. Maybe I don't know, Carmelo Hayes maybe gets a title shot.
Or Santos.
Daniel Escobar would be a nice one too.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find that lineup of that tournament. Where was it?
That was the one Jacob Fatu was in as well.
Well, it was supposed to be Solo, and then Solo came in and said, "Hey, Jacob, take my spot. You deserve it more than me."
As you look that up, I just want to say real quick, we also saw, as far as matches being built up for WrestleMania, we saw the Drew McIntyre, also Damian Priest feud take it up a notch. As the show was starting, Drew attacked Damian Priest backstage, and then later on, Drew beat Jimmy Uso pretty easily, and then Damian Priest came out and beat up Drew McIntyre again. So that's going to set up a match between the two of them at WrestleMania. And there is history there. I know that's maybe not the most appealing, sexy match for WrestleMania for both of them, but keep in mind, Drew won the world title last year WrestleMania. Only had the title for barely 5 minutes before Damian Priest came out, cashed in on him after CM Punk beat up Drew. So there's story there. Drew trying to get his revenge on Damian Priest a year later. So there's story there. And then Pretty Deadly are the new number one contenders after defeating Motor City Machine Guns and Los Garza. So,
well, technically they're the new number one contenders, but the Street Profits are also number one contenders, getting a title shot first, and then Pretty Deadly will challenge whoever wins. It's confusing.
I love Nick Aldis trying to explain it on the board. Yes. That was perfect. Yes, he sums up how us fans at home are like trying to explain. Okay, so these guys took on these guys, and these guys. Yeah, it's messy.
It's so funny because I listened to Brian Alvarez and his podcast. He's got like 5, 6, 7 podcasts a week. But their Tuesday podcast is their retro show where they go back and watch old things. And right now they're watching Mid-South. And they did some wacky, just like month-long tournament with brackets that made no sense. And Brian's like, oh my God, someone listened to our podcast and had Nick Aldis just screw with me with this bracket.
And then real quick, I also want to acknowledge we saw Tiffany Stratton, the WWE Women's Champion, take on Piper Niven, non-title match. She won, and then Charlotte Flair came out and attacked her and put her in the figure 8. But once again, Charlotte Flair, like, not really explaining why she wants Tiffany Stratton, why she chose her as her opponent for WrestleMania after winning the Royal Rumble. That's the same thing with like Jay and Gunther, as we talked about earlier. I want more substance. Give me something to bite on as a fan to care emotionally why these two are going at it. Other than Charlotte won the Royal Rumble, it's like, okay, I want you. But like, why? Is there what? Do you maybe say I feel threatened? Tiffany Stratton is the champion, and she's like a younger version of me, and I want her to take my spot. Something like I want some dialogue there, so I can go on. Just like give me some more substance here.
As far as the U.S. title picture, I found the little tournament they did. Okay. It was Solo and Andrade that ended up Jacob and Andrade.
Yeah.
Then it was Braun Strowman, Carmelo Hayes, and then LA Knight and Santos Escobar. I wouldn't think Santos Escobar since LA Knight beat him there.
Yeah.
But maybe a Carmelo Hayes, maybe an Andrade. Because Braun's going to be doing something with Jacob probably.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, I don't know, maybe Solo. I have no clue what they're doing with Solo.
Because remember LA Knight did have some run-ins with the Bloodline or the newer Bloodline, but they're not calling themselves the Bloodline anymore. But he did have some run-in with them, so maybe that can reignite that. So we'll see. But yeah, we'll see how SmackDown plays out this week overseas. And last thing I do want to touch on real quick is NXT Roadblock this past Tuesday. As I mentioned at the top of the show, felt very much like a pay-per-view, a PLE type of show as far as the star power, the matches, and what happened on this show. So we'll just run down the list real quick. The Hardy Boys defeated Fraxium, Nathan Frazier, and Axiom to retain the TNA World Tag Titles. Jordan Grace beat Roxanne Perez singles match. Obafemi, the NXT champion, defeated Moose, who's the TNA X Division champion. Javon Evans beat Ethan Page in a New York City street fight. Had some attackers after the match. What's that faction called again?
I call them Retribution 2.0.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't think they have a name.
And then the main event, Stephanie Vaquer. Vaquer? Am I saying it? Vaquer.
Vaquer. I don't know. They say Vaquer. Depending on who says it, they say it a little differently.
Yeah. So she was the NXT North American champion. She defeated Julia, who was the NXT Women's champion. Winner takes all. So since Stephanie won, she is now a double champion. She's the NXT Women's champion and now the NXT Women's North American champion. And as they said in commentary, first double champion since Becky Lynch. So a very cool moment. So Tim, just last thing, just your thoughts on this show, just the feel of it.
So I thought this show was freaking amazing.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get a rematch between the Hardys and Fraxium with the NXT titles on the line WrestleMania weekend. I think that's one of your big stand and deliver matches because Matt asked for it. He's like, hey, we just beat the NXT Tag Team Champions. Give us a shot at your titles now. So Matt Hardy cut a promo asking for it. So I think they do it stand and deliver.
What a great way to get the Hardy Boys involved WrestleMania weekend.
Exactly.
Awesome.
You can sell that Hardy shirt at the Superstore over WrestleMania weekend and stuff. So.
Dude, and you get them involved WrestleMania weekend. It helps sell tickets for stand deliver at the arena.
You get the Hardy rub and you don't even have to pay them because TNA's paying them or however this deal is working. I don't know.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, as far as the rest of my thoughts go, Obafemi and Moose. Oh my God, was that great? Obafemi press slamming Moose. Like that was awesome. Just way better than I expected. I thought it was gonna be good. It was great.
I mean, the build was not much there. It was just more. Moose came out, confronted Obafemi, says, I want to challenge you. They had like a little press conference. And I think it's just because these are two big dudes. We want to see them beat the crap out of each other. They're both champions from their respective companies.
What worked well is everybody, at least the normal NXT audience, knew who Moose was and was hyped for it. It wasn't like, oh, who's this guy?
And the match delivered. They're both like almost like look like equals, like two juggernauts beating the crap out of each other. It was a lot of fun. Also, Undertaker giving the rub to Obafemi as he was walking to the ring backstage and little pep talk and said, go out there and defend your yard. It's like, that's cool. Undertaker giving Obafemi the rub there. So very cool. And then the New York City street fight. Oh, yeah, sorry.
That's what I was going to hit on next. I liked Javon Evans winning. I'm like, yes, finally. Give Javon a big win. Ethan Page does whatever Ethan Page is going to do. He's going to be fine. Maybe he comes up to the main roster soon.
Yeah.
But then they have this Geek Squad beat him up. Well, I call him Geek Squad because they got that. I always forget his name. I just know him as the Bookworm because he always just talk about reading books. That's why I call him the Geek Squad. The Bookworm and his crew beat him up. And I'm like, oh, no. They go from giving him this big win that could elevate him to like the North America title or something. And then he just gets destroyed.
Yeah.
Beat down. So like anticlimactic.
I like the finish though between the two of them when Javon Evans hit the cross or a springboard cutter on Ethan Page when Ethan Page has his head in the chair. That looked really cool just from a visual offensive standpoint, just the brutality there. And then this main event, I think everyone, we talked about it last week, we mentioned everyone thought this match was going to be the main event for Stand Deliver, but unfortunately, I think you brought up last week's episode. The rumors are Julia is injured.
Well,
time off.
There's a couple things here.
Yeah.
Julia is beat up, not quite injured.
Okay.
And they got to get her visa fixed. They got a visa issue, so she's got to leave, apparently.
Oh, no way.
That's what came out this week. Is it's more a visa issue than anything, but she is pretty banged up. So it's kind of like twofold where, okay, she's got to take some time away because of the visa issue. So she can't work till they get that situated. And so she will get to recuperate these, I wouldn't say injuries because she's not fully injured, but, bangs and bruises or whatever you call them.
Ouch. Okay. Well,
yeah, it's a visa thing as well. I think AEW's got a couple wrestlers with visa issues. That's where Roosh has been missing because he's got a visa issue.
And Jamie Hayter, right? Jamie Hayter?
Yes, that was the other one. Yeah, Jamie Hayter.
Yeah.
That's why she's been working overseas a bunch. But yeah, so it's very unfortunate going into Mania that you have visa issues with your, one of your top wrestlers. But I wanted to bring something up really fast. And I'm going to actually show something here on my side of the screen.
Okay.
Because we talk about, Stephanie Vaquer and Julia and whatnot.
Uh-huh.
Well, it looks like WWE may be more in on Stephanie Vaquer than Julia because when you look here, and if I can get it to go.
I mean, listen, I love both of them. They're both stars. Just their entrances alone.
Oh yeah.
Imagine those entrances like at a WrestleMania level production. I cannot wait for that. Oh, okay.
So when you look here on this is from WWE's website, like the Superstar page, and you look at the header here. They've just recently, within like the last day, changed around some of the wrestlers.
Okay.
They've added old Ricky Saints and Stephanie Vaquer.
Wow.
So that's a cool one. If you guys are watching on video, you see what I'm showing here.
Yeah.
So that's cool one to see. That
with like, Obafemi there too. Okay.
Oba was on before.
Okay, gotcha.
So actually, I can go. Where's my Instagram? I actually have a comparison.
Okay.
Of both of them here. I can show really fast. Right here. See if I can see if it gets big enough or not. You kind of see it. So Obafemi was there before, as you see right here on the bottom of 2014. But they've added Ricky Saints, so that's they're all in on Ricky Saints. They've added Penta and they've added Stephanie Vaquer on there. So
nice.
There's some interesting things to look at as far as like who are they highlighting and saying, hey, these are our bigger names right now.
Who to focus on.
Because like they removed Ethan Page, they removed Dominic, they removed Bailey. Trick Williams got pulled off of that. He was on previously on that little header thing. So yeah, Stephanie over Julia is an interesting one.
It's gonna be interesting moving forward. I think both of them, obviously phenomenal wrestlers. Makes sense. Both of them were champions pretty quickly since their debut in NXT. They're just two of the best on that roster. And I cannot wait for them to be on the main roster sooner than rather later. I mean, they both are gonna have huge WrestleMania matches and presentation in the near future. I can't wait. Now the two,
not just them, but also Jordan Grace.
Totally. Well, that's my thing. It's like out of the two, if you had to make me pick one, I am definitely maybe more of a Stephanie fan. Just I love like a lot of her posts on Instagram. It's like all like heavy metal songs. So she's a total heavy metal rocker, all that stuff. I'm a huge she won me more even that more from that. But yeah, it's and what a good situation NXT is in. It's like, okay, Julia has to step away for a while. We have Stephanie here to pick it up right after. it's a nice spot.
What are your thoughts on them having Stephanie hold both belts now and not putting the NXT Women's title on somebody else like a Jordynne Grace or a Roxanne Perez in the interim?
Well, I wonder if this was the plan for Stand and Deliver weekend, because when Julia won, remember Stephanie came out to celebrate, but she eyeballed the title right away when Julia held it up. So it was kind of foreshadowing. I think the two of them were going to have a collision course or a path to this big match between the two of them, Stand and Deliver weekend. But it looks like obviously it just got sped up to 5 weeks earlier for Roadblock here. Now what's going to happen? It's like, does Stephanie defend each title separately, or does she defend it winner take all every future match for her? This is not a merging of the titles. I'm glad they're keeping both titles existent and existing here. But yeah, does she eventually just relinquish the North American title, and then they have like a tournament to find a new champion?
I mean, hey, we're coming up on Stand and Deliver. We've had how many now ladder matches for the North American title at Stand and Deliver?
Yeah. So yeah, I wonder. We don't know. Well, maybe we'll get more on next week's episode of NXT, but maybe she just gives up the North American, and then Shawn Michaels announces a tournament for a new NXT Women's North American champion, a tournament there. And the finals could be Stand and Deliver. That could be one idea. But so I was gonna ask. So Roxanne Perez lost to Jordynne, so I think that's kind of Roxanne kind of helped put over Jordynne Grace on her way out, as Roxanne, I'm sure, is going to go to the main roster soon. I mean, she was at Elimination Chamber 2 weeks ago, so she's more or less main roster bound. And so you and I predicted last week her and Bayley are probably going to have a Mania match or something that weekend, or maybe it's Stand and Deliver match. Who knows? But I think with Bayley involved, maybe you want that for Mania instead. So
the interesting thing with Jordynne Grace, and I don't know how much you've heard of her, contract and coming in and stuff since the start of the year. So she's on a main roster deal, but they had her get a place to live in Florida for now, so she could be training at the PC and doing NXT every week. So they had her get her residence, and then according to Fightful, is she may or may not only be down in NXT for a little bit to just get used to everything, even though she really doesn't need to, because she's got that TNA TV background where she knows TV. It's not like Stephanie or Julia that's got to learn TV. But so what Sean Ross Sapp had said originally was it might just be WrestleMania's buttoned up. There's nothing for her. We'll throw her into the NXT, let her do something there, and then call her up right after NXT or after WrestleMania season's over.
Interesting. So maybe she just doesn't go after her title. She just has a few more matches, a little more seasoning to get to the WWE system, and then call up after. Unless
the Julia situation leads them saying, "Hey, we need you to step up for a little bit. Let's do this with you here." Maybe it's her and Stephanie for I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, no, we'll see how that plays out with Jordynne Grace. I mean, like I said, Roxanne definitely main roster bound soon.
With Jordynne Grace, it was funny. I was listening to Lance Storm the other day, and he was like, it was very weird watching Jordynne Grace on NXT and not thinking, she's one of ours, because she's not anymore.
That's right. Because last year
as a producer.
Yeah. Let's see what else. So cool seeing the Hardy Boys win. Also, I just love that theater, the theater that they were in, the Madison Square Garden. That looked cool. My brother was telling me to do boxing matches there, so that's why they
promoted one on Raw.
Yeah, so it's cool. They just adapted that same format. It was just cool. All the seats looking down, and just looked beautiful. Them wrestling inside there, that venue. So it's just cool for them to wrestle in New York City. And let me see here. So just super happy for Stephanie here. I think she's going to do an amazing job as champion, and cannot wait to see what's next for her. And then next week we see Eddie Thorpe versus Trick Williams, NXT Underground match. Jada Parker, Mickie James had that segment backstage, and Jada Parker teasing the idea she wants to go after that NXT Women's Champion. So maybe that's the Stand and Deliver match. It's her versus Stephanie for the title at Stand and Deliver. And maybe Jordynne Grace goes after the North American title. Who knows?
But do you have Stephanie work 2 matches in one night is the question. That's the weird thing about her having both titles.
Unless she relinquishes North American, creates a tournament, Jordynne wins that, and then is like North American champion for the short term.
I can see that.
But let me ask you this. you're saying that Jordan Grace is going to have a short stint in NXT before main roster.
Potentially.
But do you think she deserves a quick push or turnaround compared to Julia and Stephanie Vaquer? But it's just because she has more experience on US TV.
So did you hear what Stephanie said about when she got signed to WWE and main roster versus, so she was on Busted Open with Bubba.
Okay.
And she said, WWE asked me, where do you want to start, main roster or NXT? And her initial reaction was she told WWE, I want to go to the main roster. Then she thought about it and said, no. I need to go to NXT because I need to learn. I need to get my English better and I need to learn WWE. So she picked going to NXT.
Okay.
They gave her the option, which I was like, we never hear them doing that. So with Stephanie, she picked it because she wants to learn, grow, and progress herself before she's on that main roster.
Cool.
So Julia, I don't know.
Okay, so yeah, when she gets to Raw or SmackDown, she just can just jump right in and just blend in just fine with the rest of them. So okay, cool.
Yeah. I would say listen to that Bubba interview because she also talked to how different CMLL is than WWE. She's like, in WWE, if I need help with anything, I can ask anybody. You go to CMLL and they're just like, figure it out yourself. Like, I want to learn. Teach me how to do this move, or why did I do this wrong in my match? And they just figure it out. She's like, there's no one that will help you down there. It's so different. And she's like, I love it here.
You're right. If you're like a true fan of pro wrestling and you want to improve your skills, that performance center must be amazing.
Oh yeah,
just to have the resources to improve as a performer. So it sounds like she's in the perfect situation, and I'm sure that's what a lot of people and other promotions maybe want to come over to WWE at some point just for that experience. And then
might be getting Jeff Cobb soon, even though he's still working New Japan matches.
Yeah, I saw that report too. So exciting stuff if that's true. And I saw a post how many Lucha Underground alumni are now in WWE now. It's kind of
hold on. So
you might have to do a separate video for yourself if you want.
Man, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, do it if you want. You think about it. So
that's a good idea.
Yeah, check it out. The alumni of Lucha Underground are now in WWE. Maybe WWE can get by Lucha Underground or something.
I mean, 2 are champions, Chelsea and Io.
Yep, exactly. Kairi Sane. I mean, sorry, the list goes on. I don't want to name them all here, but no, great show here with NXT Roadblock, and now super happy for them for the road to Stand Deliver. So yeah, if the Hardy Boys can be involved there, Stephanie maybe against Jada Parker. I don't know who Obafemi goes after next. That'd be interesting to see there. Let's see, Ricky Saints, he was backstage, so maybe Ricky Saints will have a big match, Stand Deliver. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what they do next for NXT moving forward. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah, because they're building the Stand and Deliver, and it's like you say Obafemi, it's like, ooh, the only thing I can think of is Trick beats Eddie Thorpe, and then he becomes the new #1 contender. And so maybe you have Oba beat Trick, and that's Trick's send off
before he goes main roster. Yeah. I'm with you. I think Trick Williams is main roster bound.
Give him that one last main event in NXT on NXT PLE.
Yeah, at this point, he's accomplished everything he could in NXT. There's nothing else for him there. So let's see. Was there anyone with the women's division? I was trying to think from the other segments that happened on Roadblock this week.
Not really, because there was very little non-wrestling because they just shoved 5 matches into a 2-hour show with commercials.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, sweet. But yeah, looking forward to it. So, all right, on that note, let's start wrapping things up. Tim, where can the Kliqsters find you online?
You can find all my wrestling stuff at Pro Wrestling Unlimited, whether that's Pro Wrestling Unlimited on YouTube, PW Unlimited on other social media platforms, and you can find all my personal stuff at Timmy Buddy.
Awesome. And once again, thank you, Tim, for helping me out.
Anytime.
Absolutely. And I'm Baby Huey. So follow me on Facebook at Baby Huey Official, Twitter and Instagram at Baby Huey 83. I actually signed up for Blue Sky this morning. So
nice.
I'm still figuring it out, but it's at Baby Huey 83 there as well if you want to check that out. And of course, for everything else, at In The Kliq on social media, inthekliq@gmail.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, please leave a comment down below. Give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please share the episode as well. All that stuff means a lot and is very helpful. If you're listening to the audio version, please give us a good rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Leave a review there. All that stuff helps out. Just take a an extra 30 seconds out of your time just to do the little things for the algorithm, help us stand out. We're on a roll right now. We got interviews and all great episodes as of late. So thank you guys for just making the time for having In The Kliq a part of your busy day as well. And on that note, let's go home. And that's the bottom line because Huey said so.